The Circle of Knowledge podcast is brought to you by Amplified Minds, helping entrepreneurs, intrapreneurs, and dreamers take their business ideas and goals to the next level. This podcast features best-selling industry resources and the professional panel discussions by the core team at Amplified Minds. Now, here are their discussions. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Jon Kovach Jr., your host of the Circle of Knowledge podcast, presented to you by Amplified Minds. Today is going to be a really fun discussion. I have a friend here that I met just merely a few weeks ago, and we've had some great topics of discussion to chat about. I've learned about her business and her life a little bit, and I thought it was so impressive and so empowering that I wanted to bring Kristena Eden on our show. And I've got Kristena on the line, and Kristena and I are going to have a great mastermind discussion about a few things in her life, but she is a life coach, and she has a great life coach background in the idea that she likes to focus on core living essentials. And there's some really cool stuff that we'll dive deeper into this about today as we talk. But Kristena's also working on a few pretty cool projects in the future, which is what we'll be mostly discussing about, and some principles that I think a lot of you, our listeners, will be interested to hearing. But again, welcome back. This is our show. We're so glad you're with us. And just a quick update. We have now over 15,000 downloads, and you guys are killing it out there. We are seeing a lot of engagement out there in the world of podcasting. So thank you for being a listener. Thank you for joining us. And I constantly want to invite you to engage with us on social media. You can find us on Facebook at Amplified Minds, Twitter, Instagram, anywhere you can really get online, you'll find us. But engage with us. We'd love to see what you'd like to know more of. In fact, tell us what books you'd like us to cover, because that's the kind of stuff we want to really help our listeners and in the business world. Anyways, enough about all that. I have Kristena Eden on the line. Kristena, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's great to be on with you, Jon.
Yeah, and a cool thing is Kristena and I met a couple weeks ago at a BNI group. I was invited by a friend who is actually someone who I pay to do my financial advising for. And he invited me as a guest to come and bring a testimonial. But I met Kristena, and Kristena lights up the room. She is a glowing figure of a woman who has a special light about her, and that's something that I recognized right from the beginning. But Kristena, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? Kind of how you grew up, and just give us an insight maybe into the eyes and the life of Kristena.
Okay. Well, I was born in California, but raised all over the world. So I have lived in a lot of different places with a lot of different cultures. And I think that knowing so much about other cultures has definitely helped me understand people at a better rate. Also, I was raised in a dysfunctional family. And so I would think to myself quite often, there's really got to be something better out there than this. So at a very young age, I started watching people. I'm a people watcher. I would watch how they communicate. I would watch body language. I would watch even what people would mumble to themselves under their breath. So by the time that I had graduated from high school, I had read a lot of books on relationships and how to make life better. So when I got into college, I decided to go in the direction of human development. And also when I was younger, I thought, you know what, I don't think I ever want to get married. I especially don't want to have kids, because what surrounded me was not all that wholesome. So just just to let you know, I did get married, and we've been married for quite a few years, and I do have 6 kids.
Wow.
So I am very glad that I learned that there was something better out there.
This was something that you and I connected on, which is people watching. I love people watching. As extroverted and enthusiastic as I am, always picking up conversations with people in elevators and just walking. I uh,
Yes,
I too like to sit in busy places and just watch.
yes.
I think there's an art behind it, because the people who can appreciate the behaviors of humans, they're anyways, I like to call it an art because I don't want to call myself weird, but
I agree that it is an art.
and along the lines of culture too, you found a love to learning more about people's cultures and behaviors from an early on age. What is attracting you to learning how other, let's just say, cultures and groups behave, their interactions, their typical behaviors? What is it that most interests you in that?
Well, there are a few universal languages out there, and for everyone in the world can communicate on. And of course, that's music or art. And yet, when you study some of the other languages, like I had gone to Korea, and there is a community, a civilization that is very respectful. And I would see them bowing down to show respect to other people and giving consideration toward other people. So to me, I thought that was very fascinating. Some cultures are very laid back. Whatever happens is fine. And those people are fun to talk to, and their life is easygoing, easy flowing. So to me, when people come in and they find that their goals are not working and their struggles are not working, I can help them discover in their subconscious, is this a cultural thing, or is this a learned thing? Is this hereditary? Just a lot of different things that we can consider when we are helping other people make their lives better than what it is.
So, Kristena, the thought I had about cultures as well is how valuable it is to be able to converse with other people, even if you don't know their languages. And that's something that's always fascinated me about cultures and learning, from other people. And you mentioned Korea in your story a minute ago, and I I love that because I've been all over the world, and I've been to a lot of Asian countries. And if there's anything I know about Asia, it's they're completely different than all of us.
Yes.
And their culture is so fascinating and so brilliant and amazing. It's beautiful. And I have learned that you can communicate. Humans communicate without even opening their mouths.
Oh,
They
definitely.
and I wanted to know, and I wanted to ask you what your thoughts are on how that type of communication, whether it be body language or just cultural, we'll call it conforming, how that translates in the behaviors of, families and professionals, and just what is it that culture drives in people and how they behave on a daily basis as well as at work.
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, if you think about for your whole life that you have to learn new things, new situations, like for example, if you were a 2-year-old child and you scribbled all over your mother's couch and she caught you, what would she do? More than likely scream or spank his hands or rip the marker away. And so this little 2-year-old has to interpret that situation. And that situation for a 2-year-old, it could be that his mother, all moms are mean, or maybe it could be that he's a bad boy. It could be that markers are scary things. So as he gets older and the kids in his class having a marker fight, he'll scream and hide under his chair. To us, that sounds totally bizarre, but to him, it's very real because in his mind is a script that tells him markers are scary, you better hide. So that's what he does. And that's what cultures can do for us too. They put scripts in our head. They can be good scripts, or they can be scripts that can cause us to behave in not such a good way. And the big cross with cultures is that if you are moving from one country to another, that could be something that really holds you back because you don't know what is expected, or you don't know what behavior is accepted. So this can really hold you back at times. It could also, if you know the cultural norms, can really boost you ahead. So that's just part of life in our subconscious minds. How does our own culture affect us? So I think it's just a very fascinating subject.
Yeah, it is. With your background and with all the moving around you've done and the lifestyle changes that you've made in order to go from not wanting a family to having one, and a fairly large family at that, and being so involved in this cultural experience, how does that create the Kristena we're talking today? How does that turn you into the person you are today, and having the desire to help and serve people?
Well, I think the biggest difference that it makes for me is it is easy for me to see value in all people. I feel like all people are of the same value. We are not better than they are, and they are not better than we are. So when I view all people, whatever their purpose in life is, or whatever they're learning, or their scripts are from a younger age, they have tremendous value to this world.
I absolutely love that. I actually spoke to a group of students just a couple days ago at a business college in Salt Lake City, and in this discussion, it just came about that people were needing to hear something, and it was how much of a culture sometimes, especially here in America, but as a culture, we kind of shame greatness, and we kind of shame the idea of being abnormal or different.
Yeah.
And we glorify being normal, being inadequate, being just kind of part of the herd. And I had to reach out to this group, and I had to say, look, this shaming, it's okay to be normal. It's also okay to be different, and it's okay to have, personality. It's okay to have something about you that makes you uniquely different, because everyone is different. Everyone is unique. And also because, if everyone were normal, this world would be pretty boring.
Yeah,
I,
I totally agree.
that's exactly why Kristena and I sit in airports and watch people, or we observe groups,
Yeah, exactly.
But I love that you mentioned that, because there's so much value in understanding what a human is capable of. And I love that concept, because if you fully understand that the human race has the ability to discern, to create, to invent, to achieve, to employ, to empower. There's so many emotions in regards to this that can be created by the human nature, that it is fascinating to observe. But like you just mentioned, some of the things that has affected you has allowed you to become someone who can encourage others to do that as well, by, whether it be developing a culture within their life and their family, within their homes, within their businesses, whatever it might be. These people are looking for something that they can yearn from you and your coaching to basically build a better life for themselves through culture, through behavior, through mindset, and all of that.
Yes.
So I know that you and I were talking as well about a project that you were working on this year. And I wanted to kind of open that up to you and ask you a few questions about what that project is. What are you, and here's the key word, what are you writing and what's it hopefully going to do for people?
Yeah, well, this has been a very interesting project. I am writing a parenting book, and at the moment I'm calling it Believe It or Not Parenting. And an old friend of mine that I knew years ago but had lost contact with her, she was a school teacher. And only in the past couple of years we were able to reconnect. And I was absolutely amazed that the way that I raised my children and taught them was exactly what she was starting to do in her classroom. And so after a lot of talking together, she gave me the memoirs that her and another teacher wrote about how their students changed over the year. And they, you know how in some schools there is this group of kids that seems like they stay together, but they are very dysfunctional. And every teacher clenches their teeth. Oh no, I have that group this year.
Yeah.
So, so this is a group that these two teachers knew they were getting. So they decided to completely change the way they taught. And they went from a normal, whatever you want to call it, regular classroom where the teacher stands up and teaches, and the expectation is that the children learn. They decided to go for a relationship-based classroom. And they took these kids from non-functioning, argumentative, never doing homework, and the expectation was that these kids would never make it through middle school. So with this experiment that they did, they decided to teach the kids to be responsible for their own choices and teach them how to make decisions that would benefit them more, and totally turned this classroom around. At the end of that year, every one of those kids were even successful in academics as well as in communication and being responsible for their own choices in life. So the only thing missing from this memoir was the skills or the techniques that they used in the classroom in order to make these changes. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this memoir and I am adding the skills and the techniques on how to accomplish these goals.
Wow. Well, what a cool project. And my goodness, this is something I'm so momentous about. You know what I love? Okay. Well, first of all, side tangent, Kristena, this is amazing. And I love my job because I get to talk to great people like you all the time who are doing some really cool things, and how fun it is to just be on the cusp of hearing about some of these techniques that are being used to make transformational changes to the way that children are growing up and raising these children in school settings. Nonetheless, I think that is phenomenal and incredible, and I'm just so excited. And then to beat that up is when I get to have these conversations with you, my brain just starts to take off with with fireworks because I have so many thoughts and ideas and questions. It's so exciting, but that is incredible, and I'm really excited to hear more about this. And with that, I also wanted to just say this is so momentous in this time because we have, and when I say we, I'm including the millennial generation. We have been accused of, disrespecting and, disagreeing with the way that our parents have raised us. But I will challenge that and say that every generation has probably looked at their parental units at some shape or form and said, I'm going to be better. I'm going to do a better job.
Yeah.
And the fact is they actually do or don't because they end up taking on the qualities or doing what they're most familiar with.
Yes.
Is with how they were raised. And
right.
So having that culture, going back to that culture thing, if they have a culture that they're learning within the classrooms as well as at home, now that is a transformational thing.
Yes, it definitely is.
My thoughts on that are, and maybe not my thoughts, my question is um, how important will it be for parents to study this manual?
Well, it could be life-changing. One of the principles that it teaches is to how do you get your kids to cooperate.
Mm-hmm.
I think every parent out there at one time or another wishes they could just force their kids to do what they're supposed to do, which very seldom works and quite often backfires. So having a relationship-based parenting totally changes the dynamic of the relationship, totally changes the view that children have about their parents. If children feel like they are understood and listened to, then they will take no for an answer if it needs to be.
I I have a dog.
Yeah.
And when I first bought my dog, I thought, oh man, I hope she's a good dog. I hope that
Yes.
is obedient. I hope that she does, everything we ask her to, and I hope that she's not a pain. And I came into it with this mindset that, as long as we foster an environment where that dog doesn't do anything to misbehave, or if we were always encouraging, we created this level of relationship with this dog where the dog empathizes with us. When I've had a stressful day at work, my dog feels it, knows it, and comes up to me and, seeking attention, asks for me to pet her and nuzzle her or whatever, and
Yeah.
and that's kind of her way of communicating with us. But what I didn't know about being a dog parent, and I do want to be a parent one day, and I think that children would be an interesting thing. But I bring this up only because I think it's fascinating. When I thought I was going to be a parent of a dog, I was told that it was going to be, oh, you just got to get the right breeds, and you have to have the right personalities, and don't pick that one, pick the mutt, or or the runt of the litter. And there are so many things that people told me about, and I said, you know what, I met a guy the other day who found a pit bull that had been abused
Ooh, yeah.
and had been used in so many inappropriate and horrible events, that this thing was aggressive beyond measure. It was supposed to be put down, but for some reason they weren't, they hadn't gone that far yet. And he adopted this dog, and within just 6 to 8 months, a transformation happened. There was a relationship built between him and that dog that was full of love, expectation, and let's just call it value trade. That dog is now serving in several callings, meaning they're a service animal, which most people say,
Oh,
oh,
wow.
if you don't train them when they're in their youth, within the first year, they're not going to be the same dog. That's been debunked by this.
Yeah.
There's just so many things that come about it. But one of my favorite things, and my point to all this, is when I was told that we were going to be service training our puppy, I didn't realize that they weren't really training the dog, but the trainers were training me and my wife
Yes.
on how to be the stewards of that relationship. And I think that kind of brings up a fun conversation. And I want to know what your thoughts are on that, because I do believe sincerely that the relationship-based parenting that you mentioned doesn't just translate to humans and children, but it can be in any culture, any society, and any platform. What would you say about that?
Yes, I would totally agree with that. There are certain steps in training children. But when people usually call me up and say, can I help their teenager because there's no cooperation, I usually suggest that the parents come in at a different time and we do training with them too, because there is a lot of truth to kids respond to their environment. And if it is a loving, kind, a good relationship environment, then that's what they will respond to. But, like your dog, that the pit bull that you were talking about, Uh, that kind of an environment can either make or break people. And these scripts that they put in their head from learning from this kind of environment can be totally devastating. It can prevent people from becoming adults that are self-reliant. Or it can, maybe in some cases like mine, say, you know, there's something wrong here. How do I make it right? So a lot of it depends on how aware people are. If you want someone else to change, you influence them. You don't threaten. You don't insist they be like you, but you influence them.
I love that term influence. And a thought I had was, it's not solely reliant on the teacher or the coach, right? It's also on the recipient and the consumer. Everyone has a choice to make. Everyone can choose to behave a certain way. Some of it is natural intuition, and then the other is the ability to control.
Yeah.
But as far as that, there's always that, and this is this is me conforming to society for just to ask this question, but in every basket there's a rotten egg, right? And in every classroom there's a spoiled rotten kid, or a kid that just doesn't get it or doesn't care. How do you get kids to do the right things? How do you get them to listen? How do you get them to like you said, be at a state where they can be influenced?
A lot of times you ask them what they think should be done. Just maybe taking a little bit out of the memoir, this teacher said, "Mike, why do you think I'm standing in the hall?" "I don't know." "Mike, why do you think I'm standing here in the hall?" she repeated. Mike did not verbally respond, but he did not ignore her either. She had his attention. "Mike, why do you think I'm standing here in the hall?" she repeated again. He finally responded, "To stop people from running," was Mike's response. "That's right. So what do you need to do?" "Stop running." "Will you do that, Mike?" "Yeah." So it's kind of like just putting back the responsibility, asking them if they will be responsible, or asking them what they think. Just like she said, why do you think I'm here? What would you do about it? And will you do that? So it's giving the child an opportunity to be the master, to think things through, and to decide if that's what they're really going to do. So it's too often we as parents only see one way to do things, and if our kids don't do that, then they're bad kids, which isn't the case. They may know a lot more about it than we think they do, and the way we find out is to ask.
I absolutely just love that. And you know, it's funny how simple it is. It's not next gen, it's not breathtaking, it's not anything new. It's so simple, but yet so powerful. I can think of a dozen examples of people just realizing that, you know what, if you just communicate,
Yeah.
how much can be solved if you were actually, you know, resisted on bottling up information or feelings, and focused on just creating value through relationship communication.
Yeah.
There's so many cool things from that.
Yeah. If you're asking them what they think, that's putting you on the same value level as they are. So that's not speaking down to them or up to them. You're actually making them feel like, okay, I must be important.
Right.
So it changes their perspective, and it gives them, kids that are really troubled, you probably have to do this repeatedly. But kids that learn this from the time they are very young start making their own decisions by the time they're in junior high. So
As an accountability company and as an accountability coach myself, I immediately, without hesitation, see the value in this book that you're developing and creating this, taking the information from the memoirs and eliciting the tactics and strategies used to help these children. Um, I, I am curious at what your time frame is to releasing this information, because obviously today, in content and information is of high demand, and something like this that can influence so many people, so many parents, change the lives dramatically of homes and households, and even classroom settings. And I would even go as far to say as in teams and in cultures of business. What's your time frame? How soon do you hope to finish this? And you don't have to claim an exact date, but about when would you like to finish this?
well, I don't have an exact date. My goal is to have the book ready for publishment by this summer. And then depending how long or how back the publishing company is, sometimes it's taken them up to a year to publish my book, and sometimes it's just taken a few months. So my guess would be within a year.
Awesome. Yeah. Wow. That's so incredible. In the meantime, are there any other resources or things that you're producing or creating that people can kind of, gobble up the breadcrumbs before they get the full meal type thing? Is there anything that you could send or provide to maybe some of our listeners that might be of interest or might guide them down this direction prior to this memoir coming out?
Sure. On my website, you can sign up for a free newsletter. And that comes out about on the average of every month to a month and a half. And it gives one principle in it to help make life better. On my website also are a lot of blogs, since I have published in several different locations. Those published blogs are on my website, and with each one of them is a free download that will walk you step by step through the principle that it talks about. And that covers suicide, marriage, parenting, divorce, communication, how to influence people, almost any subject that you can think of is covered in those blogs, and they are all free.
And I'll make sure I put that information in the show notes here. But for those of you who want that specifically, it's www.corelivingessentials.com.
On my website is also a free assessment, and that one will tell you what your subconscious thoughts are dictating. What are those scripts that are holding you back? And then right above where you take the free assessment, there is a Let's Talk button. So you can sign up for a 20-minute free consultation, and we can talk about what's keeping you stuck.
Awesome. I love that. And thank you for adding that little gem, because I will definitely put that in our show notes as well. But you guys, I had the pleasure of meeting Kristena in a BNI group, which led to a discussion in person, one-on-one, to being here on the show, to now me discovering more about her that I didn't catch before. And there's some really, really impressive, incredible things. I highly advise you go and listen to her, read her content, subscribe to her newsletter, and to just kind of bask in the information that she's on the forefront of delivering. This is super cool. I resonate with so much of it, and I know a lot of our listeners can gain a lot of information and help from this. And one of the things we like to do on the show, Kristena, is we like to set a challenge for our listeners. The challenge is something that they can apply in their daily life, because we don't want to just provide content and not provide a challenge or a call to action. So I'm going to set a challenge, but I'd also like you to think of one. So we'll give out 2 challenges today. But
Great.
as I say mine, be thinking about the challenge you'd like to issue to each of these people. The challenge I want to share with everybody today is I challenge you to develop a habit of asking, just like Kristena said, asking why they're doing something, and not necessarily why they are doing something, but why you are doing something for them. And get into the habit of helping elicit that understanding of why we are doing certain things, whether it's standing in the hall, providing at work, let's say, updates on your progress. Maybe it's with a client. Maybe it's in your home. Why is it that I'm I won't even go into detail, but I want to challenge our listeners to ask that question why more often. Develop that muscle of asking why, so that you can communicate openly and help basically understand more from the other person the culture and scenarios of what you're doing and what you're involved in. I think that would be an incredible challenge to enlist in. I'm going to try and give that at least a couple weeks worth of just asking why, and especially in my team meetings here at Amplified Minds, I'll make sure that we are asking why a little bit more. As for you, Kristena, what challenge would you like to issue to our listeners?
I think that's a good one. So maybe I will just add to it. If you're
Please do.
asking people why, then become very good at active listening. We may not like the why they're doing it, and yet it's so important to listen for understanding. Listen, 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 and try to understand.
I absolutely love it. Well, Kristena, it has been an absolute pleasure, having you on the phone and here on the phone on our podcast to talk about, this book. By the way, does it have a name? Is there a name entitled to this piece of work that you're working on?
At the moment, I'm calling it Believe It or Not Parenting, but from past experiences, the publishing company sometimes wants to change the name. So at the moment, Believe It or Not Parenting.
Believe It or Not Parenting is coming out within the next year. We are hoping, as an accountability friend and partner to Kristena, I'll be putting pressure on her to hopefully get that done as soon as possible.
That would be great.
The resources and everything we have to offer. But again, Kristena, it has been an honor to have you on. And I hope this isn't the last time. We'll try to get you on more, especially as that book comes out. We'd love to talk more and more about each of these principles. Everybody go to her website, www.corelifeliving. Oh, thank you for that correction. Core Living Essentials. Also, for those of you who haven't been a part of our audience before or are joining us for the first time, this is the Circle of Knowledge podcast. I'm your host, Jon Kovach Jr., and our company is Amplified Minds. You can find us at amplifiedminds.com, and you can find an accountability partner there to help you achieve your goals, or to help your clients or help your sales teams even excel and push the needle there. So thank you, Kristena. Appreciate it. We look forward to having you on the show again, and we will talk very, very soon.
Great. Thanks, Jon.
Hey, this is Jon with Amplified Minds. Thanks again for listening to the show. We really hope you enjoyed the Circle of Knowledge podcast. If you like the Circle of Knowledge podcast, go ahead, subscribe, rate us, and if you give us a 5-star review, we promise to give you a personal shout out here on the air. Just watch us. You can also engage with us a little bit more through social media. On any channel, you can just find us at Amplified Minds. To learn more about Amplified Minds, go to our website at amplifiedminds.com. That's AMPLIFIEDMINDS.com. Through our website, you can join any one of our mastermind groups from anywhere in the world. In the mastermind groups, you and other members of the community of achievers can mastermind and talk about all of your aspirations, your dreams, your goals, and even the challenges you face. Whether you're a business owner or an entrepreneur or anything else, you can achieve your goals through a mastermind group. You should also check out the Amplified Minds Accountability Program, where you can gain access to a one-on-one personal accountability coach, somebody who will contact you weekly and motivate you, hold you accountable, follow up, and give you the proper resources that will help you to go out and achieve all your goals. Hey, shout out to all you coaches, speakers, mentors, the superheroes of the world. We have the perfect program for you and your audiences. We have the capabilities of setting your audience and communities up in private mastermind groups and assign them a one-on-one personal accountability coach where they can help your people achieve the things that they're working towards tailored to your programs. For more information about this, go ahead and send me an email at Jon, that's Jon, at amplifiedminds.com. I look forward to hearing from you.